Hello, I'm reading from Autobiography of a Yogi. I'm starting at the top of the last paragraph on page 394. That was one of my last visits to Benares to see my guru, Sri Yukteswar concluded. Even as Babaji had foretold in the Kumbh Mela, the householder incarnation of Lahari Messiah was drawing to a close. During the summer of 1895, his stalwart body developed a small boil on the back. He protested against lancing. He was working out in his own flesh the evil karma of some of his disciples. Finally, a few chelas became very insistent, and the master replied cryptically, "The body has to find a cause to go. I will be agreeable to whatever you want to do." A short time later, the incomparable Guru gave up his body in Benares. No longer need I see him out in his little parlor. I find every day of my life blessed by his omnipresent guidance. Years later, from the lips of Swami Keshabananda, an advanced disciple, I heard many wonderful details about the passing of Lahari Messiah. A few days before my guru relinquished his body, Keshabananda told me, he materialized himself before me as I sat in my hermitage at Hardwar. "Come at once to Benares." With these words, Lahari Messiah vanished. I entrained immediately for Benares. At my guru's home I found many disciples assembled. For hours that day the master expounded the Gita. Then he addressed us simply, "I am going home." Our sobs of anguish broke out like an irresistible torrent. "Be comforted, I shall rise again." After this utterance, Lahari Messiah rose from his seat, thrice turned his body around in a circle, assumed the lotus posture while facing the north, and gloriously entered Mahata Samadhi. Lahari Messiah's beautiful body, so dear to the devotees, was cremated with solemn householder rites at Manikarnika Ghat by the holy Ganges. Keshabananda continued. The following day at 10 o'clock in the morning, while I was still at Benares, my room was suffused with a great light. Lo, before me stood the flesh and blood form of Lahari Messiah. He looked exactly like his old body, except that he appeared younger and more radiant. My divine guru spoke to me. "Keshabananda," he said, "it is I. From the disintegrated atoms of my cremated body, I have resurrected a remodeled form. My householder work in the world is done, but I do not leave the earth entirely. Henceforth I shall spend some time with Babaji in the Himalayas and with Babaji in the cosmos." With a few words of blessing to me, the transcendent master vanished. Wondrous inspiration filled my heart. I was uplifted in spirit, even as were the disciples of Christ and Kabir, who beheld their living guru after his physical death. When I returned to my isolated hermitage in Hardwar, Keshabananda went on, I carried with me a portion of the sacred ashes of Lahari Messiah. I knew he had escaped the spatio-temporal cage. The bird of omnipresence was freed. Yet it comforted my heart to enshrine his holy ashes. Another disciple who was blessed by the sight of his resurrected guru was the saintly Panchanan Bhattacharya. I visited him in his home in Calcutta and listened with delight to the story of his many years with the Master. In conclusion, he told me of the marvelous event in his life. He told me of the most marvelous event in his life. Here in Calcutta, Panchanan went on, at 10 o'clock of the morning that followed his cremation, Lahari Messiah appeared before me in living glory. Swami Pranabandha the saint with two bodies, also confided to me the details of his own supernal experience. During his visit to my Ranchi school, Paranandaba told me, a few days before Lahari Messiah left his body, I received from him a letter that requested me to come at once to Benares. I was unavoidably delayed, however, and could not leave at once. Just as I was preparing to leave for Benares about 10 o'clock in the morning, I was suddenly overwhelmed with joy to see in my room the shining figure of my Guru. Why hurry to Benares, Lahari Messiah said, smiling. You shall find me there no more. As the import of his words dawned on me, I cried out broken-heartedly, believing that I was seeing him only in a vision. The master approached me comfortingly. Here, touch my flesh, he said. I am living as always. Do not lament. Am I not with you forever? From the lips of these three great disciples, a story of wondrous truth has emerged. At the morning hour of 10, one day after the body of Lahari Messiah had been consigned to the flames, the resurrected master in a real but transfigured body appeared before three disciples, each in a different city. So when this corruptible shall but put on incorruption, and this mortal shall be put on immortality, then shall it be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? Okay, chapter 17, I Go to America. America. Surely those people are Americans. This was my thought as a panorama of Western faces passed before my inward view. Immersed in meditation, I was sitting behind some dusty boxes in the storeroom of the Ranchi school. A private spot was difficult to find during those busy years with the youngsters. The vision continued. A vast multitude, gazing at me intently, swept actor-like across the stage of consciousness. The storeroom door opened. As usual, one of the young lads had discovered my hiding place. Come here, Bimal, I cried gaily. I have news for you. The Lord is calling me to America. To America, the boy echoed my words in a tone that implied I had said to the moon. Yes, I'm going forth to discover America, like Columbus. He thought he had found India. Surely there was a karmatic link between these two lands. Bimal scampered away. Soon the whole school was informed by the two-legged newspaper. I summoned the bewildered faculty and gave the school into its charge. I know you will keep Lahari Messiah's yoga ideals of education even to the fore, I said. I shall write you frequently. God willing, someday I shall be back. Tears stood in my eyes as I cast a last look at the little boys and the sunny acres of Ranchi. A definite epoch in my life was now closed. I knew henceforth I would dwell in far lands. I entrained for Calcutta a few hours after my vision. The following day I received an invitation to serve as a delegation from India to the International Congress of Religious Liberals in America. It was to convene that year in Boston with the auspices of the American Unitarian Association. My head in a whirl, I sought out Sir Yutaswar in Surampur. Guruji, I have just been invited to address a religious congress in America. Shall I go? All doors are open for you, Master replied simply. It is now or never. But sir, I said in dismay, what do I know about public speaking? Seldom have I given a lecture, and never in English. English or no English, your words on yoga shall be heard in the West. I laughed. Well, dear Guruji, I hardly think the Americans will learn Bengali. Please bless me with a push over the hurdles of the English language. When I broke the news of my plans to Father, he was utterly taken aback. To him, America seemed incredibly remote. he feared he might never see me again. "How can you go?" he said sternly. "Who will finance you?" As he had affectionately borne the expenses of my education and whole life, he doubtlessly hoped that his question would bring my project to an embarrassing halt. "The Lord shall surely finance me." As I made this reply, I thought of the similar one I had given long ago to my brother Ananta in Agra. Without very much guile, I added, "Father, perhaps God will put it into your mind to help me." "No, never." He glanced at me piteously. I was astounded. Therefore, when Father handed me the following day a check made out for a large amount. "I give you this money," he said, "not in my role as a father, but as a faithful disciple of Lahara Messiah. Go then to that far western land and spread there the creedless teachings of Kriya Yoga." I was immensely touched at the selfless spirit in which Father had been able quickly to put aside his personal desires. The just realization had come to him during the preceding night that no ordinary desire for foreign travel was motivating my plans. "Perhaps we shall not meet again in this life," Father, who was 67 at the time, spoke sadly. An intuitive conviction prompted me to reply, "Surely the Lord will bring us together once more." As I went about my preparations to leave America and my native land for the unknown shores of America, I experienced not a little trepidation. I had heard many stories about the materialistic West, a land very different from India, steeped in the centuried aura of saints. To dare the Western airs, I thought, an Oriental teacher should not be hardly beyond the trials of any Himalayan cold. One early morning I began to pray with an adamant determination to continue, even to die praying, until I heard the voice of God. I wanted His blessing and assurance that I would not lose myself in the fogs of modern utilitarianism. My heart was set to go to America, but even more strongly was it resolved to hear the solace of divine permission. I prayed and prayed, muffling my sobs. No answer came. At noon I reached a zenith. My head was reeling under the pressure of my agonies. I felt that if I cried once more, increasing the depth of my inner passion, my brain would split. At that moment there came a knock at the door of my Garpar Road home. Answering the summons, I beheld a young man in the scanty garb of a renunciant. He entered the house. He must be Babaji, I thought, dazed because the man before me had the features of a young Lahari Messiah. He answered my thought. "Yes, I am Babaji." He spoke melodiously in Hindi. "Our Heavenly Father has heard your prayer. He commands me to tell you, follow the behest of your Guru and go to America. Fear not, you shall be protected." After a vibrant pause, Babaji addressed me again. "You are the one I have chosen to spread the message of Kriya Yoga in the West. Long ago I met your Guru Yukteswar at a Kumbh Mela. I told him then I would send you to him for training." I was speechless, choked with devotional awe at his presence, and deeply touched to hear his own lips that he had guided me to Sri Yukteswar. I lay prostrate before the deathless Guru. He graciously lifted me up. After telling me many things about my life, he gave me some personal instruction and uttered a few secret prophecies. Kriya Yoga, the scientific technique of God realization, he finally said with solemnity, will ultimately spread in all lands and aid in harmonizing the nations through man's personal transcendental perception of the infinite Father. With a gaze of majestic power, the Master electrified me with a glimpse of his cosmic consciousness. If there should rise suddenly within the skies sunburst of 1,000 suns, flooding earth with beams undeemed of, then might be the Holy One's majesty and radiance dreamed of. In a short while Babaji started towards the door, remarking, "Do not try to follow me, you shall not be able to do so." "Please, Babaji, don't go away," I cried repeatedly. "Take me with you." He replied, "Not now, some other time." Overcome by emotion, I disregarded his warning. As I tried to pursue him, I discovered that my feet were firmly rooted to the floor. From the door, Babaji gave me his last affectionate glance. My eyes were fixed on him longingly as he raised his hand by way of benediction and walked away. After a few minutes, my feet were free. I sat down and went into a deep meditation, unceasingly thanking God not only for answering my prayer, but for blessing me by a meeting with Babaji. My whole body seemed sanctified through the touch of the ancient, ever youthful Master. Long had it been my burning desire to behold him. Until now, I had never recounted to anyone this story of my meeting with Babaji, holding it as the most sacred of all my human experiences. I have hidden it in my heart, but the thought occurred to me that readers of this autobiography would be more inclined to believe in the reality of the secluded Babaji with his world interest if I related that I had seen him with my own eyes. I have helped an artist to draw for this book a true picture of the Yogi Christ of modern India. The eve of my departure for the United States found me in Yukteswar's holy presence. Forget you were born among Hindus and don't adopt all the ways of Americans. Take the best of both peoples, he said in his calm way of wisdom. Be your true self, a child of God. Seek and incorporate into your being the best qualities of all your brothers, scattered over the earth in various races. Then he blessed me. All those who come to you with faith, seeking God, will be helped. As you look at them, the spiritual current emanating from your eyes will enter their brains and change their material habits, making them more God-conscious. Smilingly, he added, "Your lot to attract sincere souls is very good. Everywhere you go, even in a wilderness, you will find friends." Both Sri Yukteswar's blessings have been amply demonstrated. I came alone to America, in which I had not a single friend, but there I found thousands ready to receive the timeless soul teachings. I left India in August 1920 on the City of Sparta, the first passenger boat sailing for America after the close of the World War. I had been able to book passage only after the removal in ways fairly miraculous of many red tape difficulties concerned with the granting of my passport. During the 2-month voyage, a fellow passenger found out that I was an Indian delegate to the Boston Congress. "Swami Yogananda," he said, with the first of many quaint pronunciations by which I was later to hear my name spoken by the Americans, "please favor the passengers with a lecture next Thursday night. I think we would all benefit by a talk on the battle of life and how to fight it." Alas, I had to fight the battle of my own life. I discovered on Wednesday, desperately trying to organize my ideas into a lecture in English, I finally abandoned all preparations. My thoughts, like a wild colt eyeing a saddle, refused any cooperation with the rules of English grammar. Fully trusting in Master's past assurances, however, I appeared before my Thursday audience in the saloon of the steamer. No eloquence rose to my lips. Speechlessly I stood before the assemblage. After an endurance contest lasting 10 minutes, the audience realized my predicament and began to laugh. The situation was not funny to me at the moment. Indignantly, I sent a prayer to Master. "You can speak," his voice instantly within my consciousness. My thoughts fell at once into a friendly relation with the English language. 45 minutes later, the audience was still attentive. The talk won me a number of invitations to lecture later before the various groups in America. I never could remember afterward a word I had spoken. By discreet inquiry, I learned from a number of passengers, "You gave an inspiring lecture in stirring and correct English." At this delightful news, I humbly thanked my guru for his timely help, realizing anew that he was ever with me, setting at naught all barriers of time and space. Once in a while, during the remainder of my ocean trip, I experienced a few apprehensive twinges about the coming English lecture ordeal at the Boston Congress. This is a picture of Yogananda at the International Congress of Religious Liberals. And this photograph says, during his 32 years in the West, the great guru initiated more than 100,000 students in yoga. Lord, I prayed deeply, please let my sole inspiration be thyself. The city of Sparta docked near Boston in late September. On October 6, 1920, I addressed the Congress with my maiden speech in America. It was well received. I sighed in relief. The magnanimous secretary of the American Unitarian Association wrote the following comment in a published account of the Congress proceedings. Swami Yogananda, delegate from the Brahmachara ashram of Ranchi, brought the greetings of his association to the Congress. In fluent English and with a forceful delivery, he gave an address of a philosophical character on the science of religion, which has been printed in pamphlet form for wider distribution. Religion, he maintained, is universal and is one. We cannot possibly universalize particular customs and conventions, but the common element in religion can be universalized, and we may ask all alike to follow and obey it. Because of Father's generous check, I was able to remain in America after the Congress was over. 3 happy years were spent in humble circumstances in Boston. I gave public lectures, taught classes, and wrote a book of poems, Songs of the Soul, with a preface by Dr. Frederick B. Robinson, president of the College of the City of New York. Starting a transcontinental tour in 1924, I spoke before thousands in many of the principal cities. In Seattle, I embarked for a vacation in beautiful Alaska. With the help of large-hearted students, by the end of 1925, I had established an American headquarters on Mount Washington Estates in Los Angeles. The building is one I had seen years before in my vision in Kashmir. I hastened to send Sirayutswar pictures of these distant American activities. He replied with a postcard in Bengali, which I translate. 11th August 1926. O child of my heart, O Yogananda, Seeing the photos of your school and students, what joy comes in my life I cannot express in words. I am melting in joy to see your yoga students in different cities. Hearing about your methods of chant, affirmations, healing vibrations, and divine healing prayers, I cannot refrain from thanking you from my heart. Seeing the gate, the windy hilly way upward, and the beautiful scenery spread out beneath Mount Washington Estates, I yearn to behold it all with my own eyes. Everything here is going well. Through the grace of God, may you ever be in bliss. Siri Yutswar Giri. Years sped by. I lectured in every part of my new land and addressed hundreds of clubs, colleges, churches, and groups of every denomination. During the decade of 1920-1930, my yoga classes were attended by tens of thousands of Americans. To them all I dedicated a new book of prayers and soul thoughts, Whispers from Eternity, with a preface by Mrs. Amelia Galley Kersey. Sometimes, usually on the first of the month, when bills rolled in for the upkeep of Mount Washington Center, the headquarters of Self-Realization Fellowship, I thought longingly for the simple peace of India, but daily I saw a widening understanding between West and East. My soul rejoiced. George Washington, the father of his country, who felt on many occasions that he was being divinely guided, uttered in his farewell address the following words of spiritual inspiration for America. It will be worthy of a free and enlightened and at no distant period a great nation to give to mankind the magnanimous and too novel example of a people always guided by an exalted justice and benevolence. Who can doubt that in the course of time and things the fruits of such a plan would richly repay any temporary advantages which might be lost by steady adherence of it? Can it be that Providence has not connected the permanent felicity of a nation with its virtue? And here is a picture of Yogananda en route to Alaska. And here is a hymn to America written by Walt Whitman from Thou Mother with Thy Equal Brood. Thee in thy future, thee in thy larger, saner brood of female male, thee in thy athletes moral, spiritual, south, north, west, east, thee in thy moral wealth and civilization, parentheses, until which they proudest material civilization must remain in vain, parentheses. Thee in thy all-supplying, all-enclosing worship, thee in no single Bible savor merely, thy Saviors countless latent within thyself, equal to any divine as any, these in thee, parentheses, certain to come, parentheses, today I prophesy. And here is a photograph of Yogananda with Calvin Coolidge at the White House. Chapter 38. I think I'm going to close here for the day. It's almost 30 minutes. I'm at the beginning of chapter 38. Goodbye.